So I'm here with the property manager. Her name is Mary, and she works for Avison Young. Thanks, Mary, for joining me this morning. So, would you like to give me an overview of what you do just daily?
Sure. I am a property manager for two commercial office buildings in Naperville, Illinois. So the owner of the building is in New York. The owner hired Avison Young to manage the properties for them. My day-to-day responsibilities is the management, collecting the rents, keeping the properties maintained, dealing with vendors and contractors to keep up the property, etc. Part of my job is to prepare an annual budget that is submitted to ownership for approval, and then from that we determine how we're going to run the property for the upcoming year.
Okay. So I can see that you use internal controls by submitting a lot of the things that you do to ownership then.
Correct.
Okay. So you mentioned, excuse me, you mentioned the annual budget. So with the annual budget, I'm assuming that that's your estimated guess for the year.
Correct.
So with that, when you get the actuals, what do you do then to, compare it?
So what every month we do a monthly report that we submit to ownership to let them know how we are operating the assets. So part of that is part of the report is all of the income statements, the GLs, the cash flow. It is submitted monthly, and part of my job is to accrue for expenses and to make sure that we are accounting for the expenses in the correct month. And on the monthly report, any variance above 1,500 and above 5% of the actual account, variance explanation has to be provided.
Okay, very good. All right. So when it comes to more internal controls, what do you do with compliance with the laws?
So all the actual each property has a property accountant, and so I would submit the accruals, etc., to the accountant, and the accountant follows the Sarbanes-Oxley laws on all accounting procedures.
Okay, awesome. And then with technology, is there anything technology done to keep internal controls intact? Like, is there some kind of security system or?
Yes, there's different ways that we use different softwares to do the payment of invoices. There's controls in place before, different lines of approval. The accounting system doesn't allow you to cut a check that doesn't follow before any vendor is paid. W-9 has to be collected. There's different levels of security. We could never pay an invoice twice. The system wouldn't allow the same invoice to be paid. Stuff like that.
Okay. All right. And then I do have the Chicago report. You report to someone in Chicago, do you?
Correct. My boss has their in the corporate office in downtown Chicago.
Okay, awesome. So I do have, it looks like your company does a quarterly report rather than an annual report. And I can see why, because there's so many properties in here that it covers, there's a lot of graphs in this. And there's a lot of, space vacancy versus base rent rates and all of that stuff. And it's good to get, the breakdown, because there's so much information in this that you're better off doing a quarterly report rather than an annual, just because,
Of the amount of information.
yeah, I mean, there is so much information in here. I was going through this, I'm like, oh my God. So, okay. Thank you so much for meeting with me this morning. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.